Let's learn 10 Spanish idioms to help you sound like a native speaker using some of my stories from college. Consultar con la almohada. Try to guess what this phrase means from this story. So I remember when I'd first gotten into college, I had grinded all throughout elementary school, middle school, and high school, and it finally paid off. I got an offer from Columbia University and from Harvard. So to choose between the two schools, consulté con la almohada, and I went with the one that called out to me most. Harvard. And that's our first phrase, consultar con la almohada, which translates to consult with the pillow, but it means to sleep on it. This is when we think over a decision, usually by resting, so you can wake up the next day, have a clear head, and choose. And that's how I decided where I was going to college. El mundo es un pañuelo. Now the story continues and I finally get to Harvard. And there were people from all over the world, friends that had been homeless and others that were billionaires and from royal families. And I was from a tiny, no-name town in suburban New York, so I didn't expect anyone to know my town. But one day, I surprisingly met someone that was from a place super close to the town where I was from. So I said, wow, el mundo es un pañuelo. If you guessed it's a small world, you'd be right. El mundo es un pañuelo is a phrase that you'd use when you're very far away, maybe you're traveling, and you bump into someone that's either from the same town or someone that you know from back home, and you say, wow, it's a small world. Echar agua al mar. All right, something that was tough about Harvard, I think for many of us, was that it was one of the first times we were pushed to ask for help. Up until that point, I'd aced my school assignments like most of my other classmates, but at Harvard, some of the work felt like it was designed to push you to have to go to office hours just because of how hard it was. I remember one night, I was trying to finish a computer science project after working on it for days, and I think it hit like 4 a.m. when I finally said, this isn't working, estoy echando agua al mar. And I went to the professor's office hours to ask for help for the first time, and it set me down a good path. You've probably guessed by now that echar agua al mar means to do something that's pointless, which basically means that you are moving forward, but you're making very, very slow progress. Acostarse con las gallinas. All right, something else about my college experience. I don't think there was any night that I ever went to bed before 1 or 2 a.m. Not great, but I was really trying to make the opportunity count and squeeze the lemon for all that it had. I'd go to class.
This is CS50.
Then do research for a strategy consulting club after, hit an a cappella rehearsal, then sprint all the way back to my dorm to work on a startup. And as I'm working, my timer would go off telling me it's time to hit the gym. And I'd look at the clock and it's 1 a.m., but I say, no, I can't skip, I have to go. So I grab the nearest hoodie and I head outside and I'm running to the gym in the cold while it feels like the world is sleeping, only to finish a moonlight workout and then head back to my dorm to prep lab notes for bio research the next day. I never used to acostarme con las gallinas, but I'm trying to recover and get some sleep now because it's important. Acostarse con las gallinas translates to sleep with the chickens, but it means to go to sleep early. Llover a cántaros. Back to the biolab notes thing. I actually got to do some super cool regenerative biology research on ALS while I was in college, and it was a fantastic opportunity. I was trying to squeeze in some computer science and biology at the same time, but the thing is the biolab was way on the opposite side of campus. So in the mornings I would usually take a scooter and scooter all the way down to the lab. But one morning, estaba lloviendo a cántaros, so I had to put on a puffy jacket, get a good umbrella, and walk all the way to the lab, head down. That's right, llover a cántaros means to rain cats and dogs, which is saying that it's raining a lot. 2 for 1, sin pelos en la lengua, and no hay color. Back to the story. So Harvard was a ton of work, but I also did a lot of things that brought color and joy to life that I would go back to and relive in a heartbeat. One of those things was a cappella. I sang in an amazing jazz a cappella group in college, and we had a rival group at Yale University. Sometimes we joke around and people would come up to me and ask which group is better. I'd usually respond, sin pelos en la lengua, no hay color. Our group is definitely better. Sin pelos en la lengua means straight up or without mincing words, as in to get straight to the point and not beat around the bush of what you want to say. And no hay color means there's no comparison, as in it's very clear which is better. Next is a todo pulmón. Besides doing fun extracurriculars like a cappella, we had this one hilarious tradition called Primal Scream, where students would gather in the yard the night before final exams, and everyone would strip naked and run around the yard screaming a todo pulmón, just to harness that last bit of energy to charge into final exams the next day. Hope you got that one. A todo pulmón means at the top of your lungs, as in to scream as loudly as you can. Now it's empezar la casa por el tejado. Fast forwarding to near the end of my college experience when it's time to apply for jobs. A lot of friends are making plans to go to Chicago or California and work for some startup or find some company there. I didn't start imagining myself in a specific city because I didn't want to empezar la casa por el tejado. I eventually found a job in New York and I set my course there. Empezar la casa por el tejado in English would be to put the cart before the horse. And that basically means you're trying to do step 2 before you've even finished step 1. Querer es poder. Overall, Harvard College was a beautiful and tough experience. There was a lot of pressure riding on me to be successful, immigrant and all, and that pressure weighed down with every exam or application or internship, but I managed to stay strong through it all. Although it was hard, querer es poder. So I graduated with good marks, set out into the world to start my career. You might have guessed that querer es poder means when there's a will, there's a way. As in, if you really want something, you'll find a way to make it happen. I hope you like these phrases and the stories. I'll see you in this next video, and hasta la próxima.